pleasure for me as a longtime fan to be sitting here with Aaron Gray.
Here with Larry Hama.
We're talking with Kevin J. Anderson, best-selling author.
Mr. Neil Adams.
I am here with David Britt.
Axel Alonso, editor.
Shadow Stevens. And Dallas Comic-Con with John Delancey.
With Tom King.
Kevin Conroy.
Free comic book day.
Denise Crosby.
PopCon Pop Expo.
Here on location at Star Wars Celebration.
Sci-Fi Expo, talking for our second time with Gil Gerard.
Wichita, Kansas at Time Eddie.
Producer David Gerald.
I've got Eric Flint.
Are here at Smallville Comic-Con.
Wizard World St. Louis.
VillageCon in Bentonville, Arkansas.
Michael Lombardi.
We were talking with Alan Dean.
Quincy Allen.
Suzanne Landon.
Of Starlog Magazine, Mr. Kerry Oakwood.
Chris Sami.
Len Lee. Dave Schwartz. Mano Inkarami. Jason Aaron.
This is Sci-Fi for Me, your portal to the science fiction multiverse.
And hello and welcome to the Critical Blast channel. This is an unusual time for us, but it's a weekend and I have had the opportunity to do a little bit of light reading here. So I figured I would share my observations with all of you. This is a mixed bag of some indies and some mainstream. We as much as we love indies, we did kind of come into all of this through the mainstream. So we hold out forever hope that things will get better. They've got to get better. They can't get any worse. Now there's a hold my beer statement if I've ever heard one. So real quick through some of these here, deservedly so. The Flash number 790. This is the start of a new story arc, so I figured I would jump in on this one. The 1 Minute War begins here, and this is all the Flashes. Again, God knows there's so many of them. There's too many of them. He's no longer unique, which is what a superhero really needs to be, is unique. They're all over the place, having moments in their lives when they all hear at the same time this approaching ship. Apparently, there's this spaceship, this alien invasion, and what they do is they take over so fast that by the time you blink, you're living in a new society. Well, they've never taken over a world with speedsters before, and the Flashes all enter into Flash time. It's going to be a long, drawn-out story where nobody moves except the Flashes and the aliens. And that's the 1 Minute War. I can tell you that that's how that's going to play out. This is written by, let me find the credits page here, Jeremy Adams with pencils by Roger Cruz, the inks by Matt Banning. The artwork is serviceable. Little angular in places, but it's I've seen much worse. I've seen much worse. This is it. I don't know. There's a little bit of Mad Hatter face going on with that one little girl there. I don't know quite what that is, but it's good. It's good. It's not terrible. I don't know that there was enough of a hook to bring me back, because even the and yeah, I'm going to spoil things here. So if you don't want to be spoiled, be gone. Come back later. But they've landed. The aliens have basically crashed, made a great big crater, and it's fast. Everything's fast, which means that everything's horrible, which means that Barry and Iris having dinner, he gets to have his little moment at the end. That's the hook that's supposed to bring you back to the 1 minute war after this little prelude here. So we'll see where it goes. I'll give it another shot. It's a twice monthly event. So the Flash is going bi-weekly, it would have to be, I guess, or semi-monthly. I don't know how they break that out. I'm sure the bean counters with the calendars figure that one out. Secondly, now this one's been out for a couple of weeks already, but I haven't had a chance to really go through it thoroughly. That is the Batman and the Joker, the Deadly Duo, #3. This is the much lauded book from Mark Silvestri with an assist from Arif Prianto. And I will say that if you are a Mark Silvestri fan, you're buying this because you're a Mark Silvestri fan. The artwork is good. It's an art book. It's not a story. It's a story, but it's not a great story. You start off with Batman having to solve some riddle, and it's these two people, a man and a woman, their husband and wife. They're both horrible people, and he's supposed to determine which one lives and which one dies. And the answer that Batman says is, well, they both deserve to die. Now that I've solved your riddle, they both get to live. That's not how it got played out, though. And Batman, in his arrogance, assumed that whenever this dropped, he was going to bust through the glass cage he was in and do his Batman thing, rescue them both from the fall that they were ready to go through. Oh, guess what? That arrogance gets a little bit broken because he couldn't bust through the glass cage and they both die. Good job, Batman. There's story elements in here that just don't quite work out. There's somebody who's making these monsters, and they're making them out of a little bit of DNA and a little bit of Joker DNA and then something else that they don't know what it is. And I just better, I'm thinking that whatever the other thing is, it better be something that's genetically predisposed to white skin and green hair, because these monsters that are popping out with white skin and green hair, they're not getting that genetically from the Joker, because that was an acid bath that did that. That was not, he was not born that way. There is nothing that does that. So to say that that's all genes, that doesn't quite work out. They do have the Joker kept in the Batcave still. He's still wearing the GIMP mask, sitting in the chair. And Batman figured out he's going to need the Joker to figure out where Jim Gordon's being captured. So his first thing to the Joker is sits down and punches him in the jaw. Says, "Okay, you're going to listen to me now." Okay, you guys hate each other. I get it. There's some weird transitions where, and best way to do is just show you is like, Alfred and Bruce. By the way, they're calling each other Alfred, Bruce, Dick. Joker's right there in a chair. So we're going to just assume that this is that universe where the Joker has always known who they all are. We have to. There's no other way to reconcile this. I mean, he's right there. He's right there, and they're right there, and they're talking, and he can hear everything. But Batman and Bruce and Alfred are looking at this mutated bat that they've got in the cave here that kind of got, it's weird. It got infected by the thing that came in on the Joker. But when you turn the page, it's Dick. He's like saying, "Hey, Bruce, sorry to interrupt you being a jerk, but our new friend isn't looking so good." Okay, so now Dick is looking at the bat, and Bruce and Alfred are looking at a slip of paper under a microscope. When was Bruce being a jerk that he had to interrupt? Because they were working on the bat, and Bruce was telling Alfred, stay focused. We're using these robotic scalpels to slice things off of this bat. And then the next thing, they're over here working on something small. The transition sucks, to be quite honest about it. It's not great. The bad guy is pretty much telegraphed. He's another billionaire who's got an axe to grind because his wife was killed in a Joker attack. Bruce is trying to talk him out of things. And he's like, okay, well, Bruce Wayne, tried to talk me out of this, and all of a sudden I'm attacked by Batman. That puts Bruce Wayne on the list of people I'm going to kill. It should have been saying something more like, hey, maybe this Bruce Wayne is this Batman guy. It's the art book. That's why you're buying it. If that's why you're buying it, continue buying it. If you want a good Batman story where it looks like the Joker did something and it's actually somebody impersonating the Joker, go get Devil's Advocate by Chuck Dixon. It's several years old, but it's a much better story. DC versus vampires. This wraps up in this issue here. I don't know if they're going to do more than this. Is another. This is James Tynion doing his take on an alternate world where vampires took over the Justice League. Turns out that the one in charge of all the vampires was Nightwing, Dick Grayson, and the one who finds out what was going on was Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, and her solution to the whole thing is to let him bite her, become a vampire, and then kill him. So now she's queen of the vampires. Yes, that was the saving moment. There is no redemption in this story. The vampires are not beaten. This is not DC versus vampires. This is vampires take over the DC universe, and that's where it's going to be. Now, she pledges to be much more, kind and a much more merciful, loving bloodsucker monster. We'll see. I'm sure there'll be some more DC vampire stuff coming down the road. It'll be another alternate universe thing. Liked this one. Loved this one. Stargirl and the Lost Children. Well, no, it's not and the Lost Children. It's just subtitled The Lost Children. Sorry about that. This is spinning out of everything that happened in Flashpoint Beyond, where we find out that there's, the Flashpoint universe continues to exist. The Time Hunters or the Time Masters or whatever they're calling themselves now didn't stop Batman from doing his thing. So now there are new characters in the Golden Age, and they're, history is being rewritten. People are being inserted into the past. This has caused us to get the new Justice Society series. It got the Golden Age one shot. And this is the spinoff here where Stargirl and Red Arrow are exploring the work of Dan the Dynamite, which was a kid sidekick in the 40s to TNT. And they both, had the rings, and they would charge them to stick them like Wonder Twins. They would just stick them together and they'd charge up, and then TNT would go out and he'd be all explosive-y and he'd blow things up. Same for Dan the Dynamite, M-I-T-E. But it turns out that most of the other superhero characters, and this is true, had kid sidekicks, and for one reason or another, they just sort of disappeared. Editorial wise, they were like, hey, this one's not working like the other ones are, so we're just going to keep him as a single guy, and we just won't reference the younger sidekick that used to be there, but they existed. So this is Jeff Johns doing what Jeff Johns does best, which is going back into the annals of the DC universe and finding all these little dangling plot threads that nobody ever picked up and said, what could I make out of this? And weaving together the strangest and most beautiful story quilt that he can. We're finding out what happened to all these kids, where they went. No one remembers them except Dan, and he's got he's got his whole question wall here, so I call it, of newspaper articles of people who maybe died, maybe didn't die, and Stargirl and Red Arrow are going to figure out what it is, and it's going to tie back to a mysterious island somewhere with special properties. I'm in for this one. This is a 1 out of 6. It's a 6-issue run. I expect to be on this one unless they do something incredibly stupid. It's Jeff Johns. I'm not, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but editorial is editorial. So I expect to be there for the long haul. Okay. Under the category of what the fuck did I just read, comes Jason Sandberg's Jupiter. Now, this is, it's got enough in it that I'm like, I'm interested. I want to know about Captain Kleinbottle. I have no idea what that name means. It's a scientific thing. I'd have to look it up. It's on its face. It's a road trip story of a teenage girl and her parents who are trying to get along. They're trying to get the magic back. You can tell that they're pleasant enough. They're not hateful to each other, but you can tell that there's something missing in the family dynamic, and they're trying to get it back. And the girl's aware of it. And they go on this little cabin trip, and she finds an old comic book in the drawer of Captain Kleinbottle, and she reads it. And so she's a cool girl, she'll read comics if she find them. And the comic is very much obviously a Kirby-esque Silver Age, early Silver Age kind of homage thing, where they throw out a word salad of scientific and made up words that just, it's exactly what you would expect from like the indie movement of the early Silver Age. And there were indie comics then, where they tried to, become somebody. And I think Charlton was one of those. Regular weapons couldn't put a scratch in that thing. Let's see if my entropy ray can turn old Gearbot into scrap metal. Behold, this outworld has destroyed our sentinel. My Federation looked for inhabitants. Why have you been hiding? Because we are the guardians of Element Z, a secret and extremely unstable metal with an impossible atomic weight of 150. And by the way, it has the word Croatoan sitting on there. So if you're like a fan of the mystery of Roanoke Island, that's it. The story is weird. It's very weird because like it starts off with Captain Kleinbottle and his crew escaping this explosion. And he says, this reminds me of something else that happened once. And he explains how he finds this element and it's got this mystery writing on it. And then the planet explodes and they escape with the same crew asking the same questions. So it's like this weird time loop thing where it ends. It's like, wait a second, why are you telling them about this thing that they were there for and is apparently the thing that's happening now? Is this that parallax inversion or the Braun hole that they're talking about? It's interesting. It's weird. She finishes the comic book and then the family goes hiking. And while they're hiking and they come back, suddenly the under page, the top of the page is them doing their hiking thing, going out. The under page is starting to show the Superman origin all over again, but with like aliens. This planet is at war. It's blowing up, and the entire thing then ends with them finding a crashed alien baby. The stories converge, so they've got this little alien baby to take care of, and that's okay. I can follow that story. What follows is pages of strip of something called placebo addiction, and I want to feel like there's something very cerebral happening here, and that I just don't have enough cereb to get it. It's a show not tell thing. There are 2 panel strips. I don't know if you can see it or not there. The cat is vacuuming the flying carpet. Okay, well, seriously, that's it. That's your joke. And then this 2 panel one here. There's this horse with like a balloon tied into knots for a head, and that means I feel I've never felt so lost reading these strips. It's just weird. There's some Hostess, they're Anton's fruit pie commercials in here. And again, it's just strange. The final story was kind of cute. It's a little boy gets out of bed at night and he sees like giant claws around the side of the building outside. He's wandering around at night. Where are his parents? Is my first thought. He runs out to the claws and he sees like a giant monkey paw. Like, oh my God, the city's overrun with giant monsters at night. And then, the final panel, he turns around the corner and they're setting up the Macy's parade. So, all giant balloon. That one wasn't quite so weird. That was sort of a twist ending. Got that. I want to read more. I want to read more of it because I'm kind of hoping that there's going to be this light bulb epiphany moment that will happen when I'm reading these things. Last 2 books here kind of go together. They are 0 issues. So there's like, it's a small story spread out over pages. So you got to get a flavor of how the action will be, who the players are, how they respond to things. it's sequential. It's a sequential story, so it's not like just random art pages here and there. It's just not part of like an ongoing epic kind of thing. It's a little bit of origin stuff. The first one of these is Cody Valiant, a legendary outlaw hero. Cody is the first human born on Mars, and the interiors of this are just flipping amazing. It's painted all the way throughout. I'm going to try to find a decent large frame picture here to show this off, because what the Fries are doing here at 3B Comics is just beautiful stuff. And I know that holding up the comic to the camera is not the best way to do this, but it's what you got, so deal with it. Painted throughout by Fry Senior. Here we go. And Cody is just he's a mercenary. He takes on jobs for different people, and they're not always nice people. He pretty much figured out that, oh, this last job I took was a trap. You were trying to kill me. Well, guess what? I survived. I did your job. You owe me money. You don't want to pay me. Here's my gun. That kind of a thing. Women love him. The Oinks hate him. The Oinks are like a motorcycle gang of mutated pigs and humans. And, he's always getting the better of them. They're sort of like the comic relief. They're always going to show up, whatever mission he's on. He's going to run into a gang of Oinks. They're like, hey, it's Cody Valiant. Second book. Oh, I wish I could show you the pages of this one, but I can't. Also from 3B, this came in the same package. Interstella. Interstella is a Sentinel. It's Sentinels with an X. I want to make sure that's right here. Yes, I did say that correctly. So this is kind of like Starman, the movie, not any of the DC Comics characters, where you've got a normal Earth person who just happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's driving his truck, old Big Blue. He's a truck driver. He runs a little truck stop, and he gets out of his truck just in time because he sees a meteor crashing right at him, and it blows up the truck. So that's not great, but he's wondering how he's still alive. And, well, he's still alive because what he got hit by was turned out to be a fairly lovely woman without any clothes, because she just formed there. She's energy. The Sentinels will take on the primary life form of whatever planet they're sent to protect. She's kind of gone out of her way to choose Earth. And there is a threat to Earth. It's this Minotaur-like being here, which you can see there. And, of course, she's going to fight it naked throughout the book. Thank you, Sean Sr., for that. Boom, 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 boom. Can't show you because YouTube. But, she disappears at the end of the fight. Good old truck driver McLaren here. He's like, no one's ever going to believe this happened. And then weeks later, he hears this weird noise. He looks outside. His truck is back. And, hey, Stella is back. And she's clothed this time in her outfit. And that is, our introduction to Interstella. This is, of course, a growing universe from 3B Comics, where they're doing things like Youth Mob. They do have like pieces in the back here where they show you all the other characters they're doing. This is the upcoming cover. Can't get used to this. Upcoming cover for Youth Mob #1. I know we've got Arya and Bristolian Dave out there, so yes, they've made a villain out of a person wearing a Union Jack. Because this is still the United States, and we're still in war, apparently. I don't know. It looks cool, is what I'm thinking. The one drawback I would say on this is there could have been more story. There was an interchangeable use of word balloons and text captions where I could not always tell who was talking. Sometimes it's the narrator, sometimes it's Cody, sometimes it's the truck driver. And sometimes it didn't always jibe up there. I'll also say that the books could have used an editor, both in text and in graphics. It's just, well, things like this. This is an ad on the back for Captain Apple Munchies. You can see Captain Apple Munchies taste so sweet. Captain Apple Munchies, the best cereal that you can eat. And the box says Captain Apple Munchies. If you're going to miss a letter, it's better to miss it in a word balloon than on the actual logo, I would think. But that is where that is. So, zero issues both. Just feeling out the waters there, trying to find their market. I think that I think they're both worthwhile. I think they got the potential to grow into something bigger. Had them on the show before, so I'm definitely predisposed to liking them from what I've known of them. So take that with a grain of salt that you feel is appropriate. That's it for today. We will be back later tonight. We're going to do a movie roasting stream with George Peter Gatzis' channel and Denali's Comics. We will be having on Laurel and Hardy in Flying Deuces. So if you would like to join us and just watch this classic film and make fun of it, make comments about it, be here, and we will see you then. For the rest of the day, have a good time, and we will see you when we see you. Where is my outro video? There it is.